What up? What up? How y'all doing today? We are back live for Diddy's trial, week 14 of testimony. I'm looking forward to gathering around, child, going back to trial. In the meantime, kick back and relax. If you are in the replay, you can skip ahead about 6-7 minutes and jump right into things. All right, y'all, I'm ready to go. So hang tight if you are chosen one in the chat or in the bushes hanging back. Either way, I'll be right back. All right, let's not delay this any further. Yeah, happy to be here. Definitely happy to be alive. All right, y'all. That's okay, GT. What's going on? I'm going to say hi to everybody who popped into the chat while Wayne, Mia X, Faye, Crossling, PJ Corleone. Yes. Sunshine to you, Miss Sunshine to you. Definitely good to see you, JT. I'm sorry, JT Juty. My bad. What's going on, ma? Mia X. Definitely, if you're coming into the replay, like this video. I mean, if you here now, like this video. What? Like the video, y'all. It's free. We are here on this Thursday, resuming what's going on in the trial. I don't know why I have Justin's picture up here. I believe this is from today's reporting in the Washington Post, which is where I want to start actually before we get into the live tweets. Sometimes they provide a little context to some things. We got Miss Janice Combs, and then the witness, Bryana or Bana, Bongolan, still on the stand. She's getting cross-examined, and they say Nicole is to her, but we're going to see for ourselves once we get into the live tweets. In the meantime, yeah, we're just going to get right into things. The Washington Post, they say that before court started, before the jury came in, the attorneys are congregating in the courtroom. Let me put my courtroom picture up. We going back to court, y'all. Yeah, they say in the courtroom, the attorneys are congregating and the judge is getting ready to begin. They say they had a late start at court today, and the crowd outside the courthouse seems to have enjoyed this. There is a line to enter the trial as usual, but the sunny day has brought a host of performance artists outside the courtroom. There are live streamers and vloggers outside, as well as a performer dressed as a nurse in a poofy blonde wig, filming a comedy sketch with the trial scene as a backdrop. Sounds like a circus, a literal circus. So they say the trial has been chaotic at times. There have been outbursts in court, spectators escorted out of the room, and most concerningly, a social media influencer and news outlet both revealed the identity of an anonymous witness when she testified under the alias Mia. Before the jury is led into the courtroom this morning, Judge Arun Subramanian is running over some rules that could affect the next few days of trial and how they are covered in the media. Prosecutors have asked the judge not to let reporters or the public see any exhibits that have to do with the next anonymous witness, Jane, a single mother who claims Sean Combs trafficked her for sex after they began a relationship. An attorney who represents some news outlets covering the trial argued Thursday that restrictions to evidence would enormously burden the press's ability to report on this trial and impede constitutional rights. The issue has to do with timing. Prosecutors have said that due to the sheer volume of documents, it could take days to redact the documents after they are presented in court. The attorney has asked the judge to delay the testimony to allow the government to redact the evidence beforehand. The judge denied the request by the media lawyer, but asked the government to redact and release the documents as quickly as possible. Wow, so the press, they've been fighting tooth and nail for transparency. And when it comes to Jane, the prosecution is putting their foot down because of what happened with Mia. They don't want these exhibits to be splattered all over, the news outlets and the bloggers platforms. So they wanted to actually delay Jane's testimony or switch up, or just put her in a different order. And the judge said no. The judge is like, this thing is moving. We're not delaying anything. You can wait until the redactions happen. So that's what they're going to do. Now, this reporter says it's hard to overstate how big the stakes are for victims as abuse trials. The law allows some witnesses to protect their identity, but doing so makes a trial of this size and interest that much more complex. There are implications for the press. There are implications for a member of the public's constitutional right to enter a courtroom, and there are implications for alleged victims of heinous crimes. Any failure to protect a witness, as happened with the pseudonym Mia earlier in the trial, could make others scared to testify. And there are no lies told there. Simmering ahead of expected testimony from the anonymous witness Jane, a former girlfriend of Sean Combs, who claims he abused her. And Judge Arun Subramanian has warned those in the courtroom that they are not to document the next victim in any notes or images. And that includes the cartoon sketch reporter who also slipped up, I guess, and they had Jane's actual details of her face in some of those sketches. So now Bryana is now on the stand still. We're going to be about to get into the courtroom live tweets. And she's claiming Sean Combs dangled her off a ledge at a LA high rise in 2016. And she's on the stand to continue her cross-examination from Wednesday. Let's get her picture up here with the diddler. Okay. And they're saying that the defense has leaned into inconsistencies between her various interviews and statements with prosecutors, court documents, and a lawsuit she filed against Combs last year. So let's get into that. It goes on. They go on to say that the defense is pressing Bryana. And so let's read the testimony. And of course, always thank you to Matthew Russell Leaf from Inner City Press, who gives us these live tweets every single day of court. And let me give him a like, child, because we are definitely eating this up. So he starts off with, okay, U.S. versus Sean Combs, day 17, cross of Bongolan. The victim witness, Jane, text not to be shown, question mark. All right. So before the jury comes in, the judge says, I understand the press is doing their best with the orders. What about Jane's text? Prosecutor Comey says, I feel a need to personally read them before releasing them to the press. How about Saturday or Friday for Friday's exhibits? The judge says, don't unalive yourself. Comey says the reporters are not officers of the court and they won't know what has not been reported. That's why I want to review them myself. I don't think there's a real constitutional issue here. And the reporter slips in his little 2 cents and says that he disagrees. Now, the judge says the type of information that Ms. Comey wants to redact, is it a matter of timing? Should we adjourn for the day to permit redaction? This is okay. The judge says, no, I reject that. The First Amendment does not require that, and the government is making accommodations. Prosecution says we want a screenshot of Ms. Ventura's communications to Ms. Coram about Ms. Bongolan being dangled off the balcony. The judge says, how does the balcony incident connect to the indictment? What, judge? The prosecution says it shows Mr. Combs' violence and that Ms. Ventura is aware. And then they say coercion. Alexandra Shapiro, Diddy's attorney, says it should not be admitted. It is a backward-looking statement. Prosecution says the screenshot was captured in September of 2016, shortly after the incident. Shapiro says it doesn't say how Ms. Ventura heard about it. Could have been from someone else. The judge says bring in Ms. Bongolan, then the jury. All rise. The judge says, jurors, we have a lunch coming in for you. We're going to take a shorter break. Miss Westmoreland? Westmoreland gets up and asks, what is this photo of? Bongolan says, drugs. And asks, you sent this photo to Cassie? Yes. Now, DX 1287, what's this? She says, some type of drugs. And Westmoreland asks, how many types? She says, I can't tell. Westmoreland asks, you're still doing drugs with Cassie on May 31st, 2016, right? She says, yes. Westmoreland asked, just before this, Mr. Combs threatened your life? She says, yes. You weren't scared to continue dealing with Cassie? She said, I guess not. Okay, you said Mr. Combs groped your breast? Prosecution objects, and the judge says to ask again. Westmoreland says, Mr. Tyrone said Mr. Combs groped your breast. True? She says some type of things he wrote were not true. And see, I'm interjecting that Tyrone Blackburn, an attorney who is representing several civil suit victims of Diddy, is getting slammed in this testimony and discredited and maybe even defamed, child, even though I don't think technically it's defamation, but I'm just saying she is his client. She's speaking of firsthand experience with this guy and saying that he's lied. And I don't know if this is the first time this has been said about him, but it's not a good look, being that his cases are still in active cases. Anybody? Let me come over and see if y'all have any comments. Hey, Ray, all day. Where you been, child? This pic is Bryana Bana Bongolan, who is testifying. She was Cassie's friend and stylist, who she claims Diddy dangled her off the balcony of her high-rise apartment after coming in to deal with Cassie, child. And I don't not believe her at all. But the problem with her is that she took a lot of rugs, lots of drugs, child. And she don't remember nothing. She remembers nothing. It's like, girl. However, I mean, the prosecution felt strong enough, confident enough in her to put her on the stand. Apparently, Nicole Westmoreland is giving her the business on the stand. That's what everybody's saying, at least. She is really strong and really hammering this girl. Let's see. Nia says, them kids need to stop smiling. Get that I'll be sure kid too. Yeah, you know what? They haven't been showing up. I think yesterday was Quincy Day, but the mother has been the most consistent, and Justin, I think, showing up for court. And Justin, even if he's late, he's showing up. Hey, Trav, good to see you. Miss Money Penny, hello. You didn't get a notification? Oh, I'm shocked. Trav said, remember those text messages? They're going to come in handy at the end. LOL. Okay, so we're talking about some text messages that they're going back and forth over before the jury. I think the jury came in now, but before the jury came in, they were going back and forth about allowing these text messages in between Bongolan or Bana and Cassie, as well as Cassie and KK, with regard to this balcony incident. So let's make sure, as Trav says, to keep this in mind. And we're going to keep it moving with this testimony today. Day 17 of the trial. Bongolan is on the stand getting cross-examined. All right. So she says again, Tyrone Blackburn says some things that weren't true. Westmoreland says you fired him and hired new civil lawyers and they drafted a lawsuit. You reviewed it? She said, to the best of my ability. Westmoreland says, look at this document, only for the parties. Ma'am, isn't it true that your lawyer, Mr. Tyrone, alleged for the first time S.A., and although you knew it was untrue, you began repeating it? She says, can you rephrase that? Ms. Westmoreland says again, Mr. Tyrone alleged that Mr. Combs S.A.'d you, right? She says, I can't speak for him. She says, Westmoreland says, you speak for you. You kept repeating the lie about the grabbing your breast. Bongolan says, can you restate it? Westmoreland says, okay. You continued accusing Mr. Combs of S.A. and you, even though you knew it was not true. And then Bryana or Bana says, it's really hard to commit to the whole sentence. Westmoreland says, you knew S.A. was the only way you could sue. And she says, I don't recall. Westmoreland says, you say you were screaming. Are you aware of anyone else calling the police? She says, I don't think so. Did you urgent care? She says, I didn't. You didn't tell the chiropractor what happened? No. Why not? I was scared. Okay. The girlfriend, what's her name? Sarah or Friday. Full name, please. I think Sarah Siddell, something like that. It was a while ago. I thought she said it was Tiffany Red. Okay, let me not interject on that. Westmoreland asks, you got the government she was Friday and that she wouldn't know anything? Bongolan says, I'm not sure. Westmoreland says, on October 4th, 2016, didn't you attend Mr. Combs' concert? I don't remember the date, but yes, I went. Just ask the judge says, just ask Miss Westmoreland. And then Westmoreland says, may we read the text? The judge says to proceed. Westmoreland continues, you read Bana, and I'll read Cass. Bana says, I don't know what I wrote. And Westmoreland says, as Miss Ventura, Coolio, what time? Bana says, love ya, thank you for yesterday. Westmoreland says, as Cass, she says, you're asking Cass if Puff would like a sweatshirt 2 weeks after you allege he held you over a balcony? Bangla says, we were trying to be cool. Westmoreland says, repeat that. Bongolan says, we had the FaceTime call and we were trying to be cool. Westmoreland says, isn't it true that you continue to see Mr. Combs and Miss Ventura because Mr. Combs did not cause you those injuries? She says, part of that statement is true and part I can't agree with. Westmoreland asks, you did see your phone number on this? Or you see your phone number on this? She said, yes. This text is from October 15, 2016 from Mr. Combs to you. She says, yes. Mr. Combs wrote, if you're not going to do K with her, at least have her back. Do you remember receiving this? She says, yes. You remember the Bad Boy reunion tour? You started on it, but you didn't complete it? She says, maybe 1 or 2. September 25th, 2016, the tour was at the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey. True? She says, I'm not aware, not so sure on the dates. He was on stage with Lil' Kim? She says, I don't know. And at the Harlem Salute to Achievement, the prosecution objects and the judge calls a sidebar. All right, they are back from sidebar. And Westmoreland says, does this Trump International Hotel stay of Frank Black include September 26, 2016, in-room breakfast for $231? You see? She says, yes. You agree one person can't be in 2 places at the same time? She says, hard to say. You told the jurors Mr. Combs injured you in LA on September 26, 2016, correct? The prosecution asked for a sidebar and the judge says, yes, you may. So they have the sidebar. And Westmoreland says, Mr. Combs did not cause you the injuries in the photo you provided with metadata saying September 26, 2016. She says, I can't agree with that. A person can't be in LA and New York at the same time. She says, my answer is the same. No further questions, Westmoreland says. The judge asks if there's a redirect and there's a sidebar instead. Prosecutor Smizer says on the redirect after they return, did you ever review the notes taken at your interviews? She said no. Did you give Cassie permission to put your name in her complaint? She said no. After she filed, I hit her up to tell her of mistakes. Tiffany wasn't there. Ah, okay. Prosecution asked, when you filed your lawsuit, was it report of the balcony the same or different from Cassie's? She said different. What you said today your best recollection? She says yes. The demand letters of your first lawyer, did you write them? She says no. The demand letter that said Mr. Combs squeezed your breast so hard you had bruises, had you said that? She says no, ma'am. Do you demonstrate with hand motions? Please do. And then it says she does. And then she says, Bongolan says, he started at my armpit. And I'm thinking this, well, I'll put that up. He started at my armpit, and prosecution asked, were they on your breast? She said, yes. Do you yourself know the exact date of the balcony incident? She said, no. Why not? It was a while ago. Any doubt Mr. Combs held you off the balcony? No doubt. Nothing further, said the prosecution. The judge asked if there's recross, and Westmoreland says yes. In a follow-up interview with the government, you gave them pictures of your leg injury with metadata, true? She said, I gave them pictures. When you sued Mr. Combs, you weren't rich? I was not. You saw this as a chance to make $10 million, true? Bongolo said the judge would review. It means a lot to you to become a millionaire and soon, right? No, I'm here for justice. Meaning money, nothing further. The judge says, thank you, Ms. Bongolan. Is there an exhibit? Publish it. Shapiro says, we object under Rule 106. The judge says, so after the break, jurors, there'll be food for you in there. All rise. The judge says, so about these text message chains. The prosecution says these are screenshots of messages between Ms. Ventura and Christina Coram. It first involved Ms. Ventura saying her phone was thrown off the balcony. Then about Ms. Bongolan, the defense wants more in. They want in Ms. Coram's message that she says it didn't happen. But that's self-serving hearsay with no exception. The judge says the allegedly completing statement are not admissible. Mr. Agnifilo, your client was looking at jurors and nodding vigorously. This can't continue, or I will give a limiting instruction you won't like, or other measures, including barring your client from the courtroom. Do you understand? Agnifilo says yes. And then the judge calls for a break, child. That right there is for the judge for checking Agnifilo and the team about Diddy's behavior in the courtroom. Why was he even allowed to do that? None of the lawyers tapped him on the shoulder or gave him a little kick on the ankle. Like, what are you doing? Although I'm glad he's doing that because it shows his controlling nature. He's trying to do with the jury with his eyes and probably trying to cast spells on these people, his little voodoo work that he does. And while trying to disprove the fact that he's not doing that type of behaviors to others. Imagine had he not, he is literally in court in the defendant's chair fighting for his life. And he is staring down the jury and nodding his head and making motions in effort to sway them out in the public in broad daylight, just boom, right here in front of everybody. What is going on? Nia, armpit. Boy, if you don't. Juti said, and it's in the record now, right? It sure is. Because the judge addressed it on record. Diddy, she said Diddy's trying to influence the jury. Exactly. Nia says, who does voodoo work? Not Diddy, I hope, with his ugly ass. Yes, he does, child. Well, I speak as if I've seen it in person. All I know is it's been said. Gene Deal spoke to it. Ray, hourglass purple. What is this? Oh, just the eyes. Okay. Yeah, girl. Okay, so child, the judge says, what the is going on in my courtroom with this guy acting like he's the king of the world? He's acting like he's the king of my courtroom, staring down the jurors, nodding and making gestures. That is not okay. Judge does need to take him out and make him sit in that room on the side where he can only listen. Maybe they can give him something, a monitor to look at, because this is not okay. Can they blindfold him instead? Can you imagine him sitting there with a blindfold on? Wow. Okay. Let me see if the Washington Post had anything else to say about this part. I think I remember seeing something. Okay, this is okay. Okay, the defense is still pressing. Okay, then this is the so-called bombshell evidence from the defense was the text message about Frank Black, the common alias used by Combs, showing that he checked into the New York hotel 2 days before the night that Bongolan claimed he attacked her. So, and checked out 3 days later after the alleged incident. How do we know he actually checked out? Somebody could have checked out for him. Somebody like a KK could have checked him out. But does that mean he didn't leave the hotel early and fly to LA to deal with Cassie and subsequently Bongolan? I don't see Combs checking out of his own room. Can you see him standing at the checkout counter with his luggage and throwing his black card down on the counter to pay for the 3 days? I don't think so. So if I was the prosecution, I would just say, do we have that he checked in? Do we have him checking out? We need to see that on camera, because I don't believe it. Okay, let me get to judge rebukes. Yeah, let's like I always say, a one woman show over here doing a 3-man job, child. Okay, I'm gonna come over to your comments real quick. Nia said, put him in the same room they put Daryl Brooks in. He probably going through withdrawals. Where Ray said, yeah, you're right. Juti said he was intimidating a creator too. Oh, I've heard that too. Daryl Brooks was mean mugging the judge and put him in a room. She put him in a room by himself. Court detention. Yeah, they should do that. I agree with that. Juti said, I don't remember her name. Stephanie. So I think Sue. Who are we talking about? I'm not sure. He was mouthing, I know you. Oh, the content creator. I know you, while heavily mouth breathing. Yeah, he's been doing things like that, giving them hearts with his hands. Nia said he's probably mouthing, take that, take that. Oh, wow. Okay, so this is the Washington Post. Judge rebukes Sean Combs' courtroom behavior. Judge Arun Subramanian had stern words for Sean Combs and his defense before the court broke for lunch Thursday afternoon. With the jury out of the room, Subramanian called out lead counsel Mark Ignifilo about Combs' attempting to interact with the jury during Bryana Bongolan's testimony. Combs was nodding at the jury around the time the defense was questioning Bongolan about her account of Combs attacking her on a high-rise balcony and presenting evidence that undermined her timeline. This is strictly prohibited. The jury is not to interact with any of the parties and vice versa. I could not have been clearer, is what Subramanian said. There was a line of questioning where your client was nodding vigorously and looking at the jury. And there was a subsequent moment where we had a sidebar. I looked and saw your client looking at the jury and nodding aggressively. This is absolutely unacceptable. He added, if it happens even once more, he would consider excluding Combs from the courtroom. Is that going to happen again? He asked Ignifilo. Ignifilo said, it's not going to happen again. After the rebuke, Combs sat with his arms crossed and his chair pushed back from the defense table like a brat. Wow. As defense attorneys milled around waiting for court to resume, Combs and his attorney, Nicole Westmoreland, were engrossed in an animated conversation at the defense table. Westmoreland sat in a chair with her legs crossed and her chin in her hand, chatting with her client. Soon after, her co-counsel Xavier R. Donaldson ambled over and joined in. Despite being rebuked by the judge for his interactions with the jury minutes earlier, Combs appeared in good spirits after Westmoreland spent the morning picking apart the account of a government witness. So Diddy thought he won the round, and he was celebrating and telling the jury, yep, see, yep, she a lying ass hoe. All right, so now we're going to get ready for the next witness. Let's get back into the courtroom. Oh my. Okay, let me real quick before we do that. Ray said, Alexa, display all hotel check-in by Frank Black. Black Letter Law said, I never check out, just leave. Exactly. Especially now, yeah, you could just throw your key in a slot or either just leave it. Yeah, yeah. Not arms crossed and pouting. Exactly. Big ass brat sitting there pouting. Nia said, what? Outburst. Mm-hmm. Just out of line. All right. Okay. So they're back from break. Let me make sure I read this stuff. Okay. So they're back from break. The judge says, I could say past 4 p.m. My sentencing's turn, so I could stay late, but Miss Shapiro, she says, I have a meeting with lawyers in another matter. I want to be here for Olive Jane, a key witness. The judge says we'll end at 4. The jury is entering. Government says first, the stipulation, a seizure at Miami airport of Christina Quorum's cell phone. These are true excerpts. Publish the exhibit. It says text bubbles with Cassie dangles over the ledge. OMG. Prosecution, this is from the reporter. He puts text bubbles with Cassie and he sees dangles over ledge. OMG. The prosecution says metadata shows September 30th, 2016. Bring witness in. Witness is on the stand, and his name is Enrique Santos. He says, I've worked at the SDNY prosecutor's office for 17 years. I've done 3,000 cell phone extractions. So he's like a text message expert. The prosecution asked these 3 iPhones, who were they? He says, Cassandra Ventura. One had a changed IMEI number. It had been repaired, which kind of corroborates the fact that she said her phone got thrown over the balcony, if it's that same phone. Prosecution says if a user takes a screenshot, what is the metadata? Santos says creation date, modified date, where it's been stored, where it is stored. Prosecution asked the exhibit, is this another extraction? He says yes, and the prosecution has no further questions. The defense does, though. They said some deleted messages remain. He says yes. Tenny Garrigo says the September 30th is the capture date of the screenshot, correct? She says yeah. He says yes. Garrigo says thank you, and the judge calls for the next witness. We're moving quite on along. The prosecution says first some sealed exhibits under the pseudonym order, and because explicit, sexually explicit, 1503. At this time, we will call Jane, in air quotes. Judge says, Ms. Comey, bring the witness in. Comey says, please confirm that all exhibit screens in the public gallery are off. And the courtroom deputy confirms that they are. Now, the reporter is inserting a note, will exhibits be made available by next day? Filing still not being documented. He's still complaining about this docket. So Jane takes the stand. Inner City Press says they're not going to describe her physical appearance. Okay, he never describes physical appearance, but I guess he's making it clear he ain't going to do it, and he didn't never do it. The prosecution asks her, where did you grow up? She says, California. Your level of college? She says, junior college, then modeling. With whom did you have a relationship 2021 to 2024? She says, Sean Combs. What did you call him? She says, Sean, baby, Ernie. Why Ernie? She said, we did that. I was Bert. When did you meet him? On a girls' trip to Miami in 2020. He was dating my friend. He was really funny and nice. We went on a yacht partying. Wow. So right off the bat, we know that this old hoe, no, I'm just kidding, that her friend, in air quotes, was dating him first. Okay. Jane says, he gave me his cell phone number. Comey says, did you see drugs? She says, yes, that first night. One of my friends says she wanted drugs. I guess. One of my friends says she wanted drugs, I guess. Prosecution says, I don't want you to guess. Where did you go? She said, the studio in 2-Star. A man pulled out pink powder. She said, my girlfriend was upset. She thought I was getting with Sean. So we left abruptly. But you were. Okay, the prosecution says the next day. She says drinks by the pool. Movie night in the theater in his residence. He texted me, I'd like to take you out. I replied that it felt complicated. The prosecution asked, where were you living then? She said the East Coast. Did Mr. Combs contact you? She said, yes, he was flirtatious. He invited me to Miami. Read these texts, and they're not shown to the gallery. What does he say? He says, call me Ernie. Who was pursuing you? She says, he was pursuing me, but I was being considerate of my girlfriend. But she got engaged and moved overseas, so I felt I could do this Sean thing. The government says, had she been seeing Sean and her fiance at the same time? She says, yes. Oh, child. She says, I went to Miami in January 2021. He got me a hotel room. Where did you have your first date? She says, the hotel balcony. How long did your first date last? She said, 5 days. Sound like she was held captive, child. 5 days, she said. The government says, what did you tell him about your past? She said, I dated someone he knew. Also, my child's father didn't get along with Sean. He said he didn't mind. Child, we gonna need to know who this Jane is. I don't care. I'm like trying to put the pieces together. All right. Prosecutor Comey says, how many children do you have? She says 1. They ask her, what did Sean say about his relationships? Jane said, only my friend. He said it wasn't a real relationship. Wow. What did you do? She said, we made a lot of love. We walked on the beach. Later, we went on a proper first date, dressed up. A restaurant. I was head over heels. How did you stay in contact? She said, text. Did you travel with him? She said, Turks and Caicos. I was excited. I'd never been to Turks. Comey asked, who else went in February 21? She said, Christina Coram, the butler at one point, a barber. How long did you stay? She said 9 days in Turks, 6 days in the Bahamas. Comey asked, we're going to play a video. What's not shown in the gallery. And there's loud music, though. She said, I took the video. And what do we see? She said, the villa, the vibe. What did you tell Sean? That I was a single mother? On social media, I called myself a content creator. Comey says, what was your work? She said, advertising brands on my social media. What did he give you? He said he'd give me money because he'd taken me many days away. I really appreciated that. How much? She said $10,000. Now, my question is, are they going to consider this trafficking? Even though they were dating, he paid her, and she said they made a lot of love. Okay, let's go on. Prosecutor Comey says, what drugs had you used before? She said ecstasy twice, 2014 and 15. You used it in Turks. Who suggested it? She said Sean like 10 times. In the pool, he gave me a pill, said it would be more fun. I was walking down the beach with him and I fell. I think I was screaming too. They put me in the shower. KK did. Another ecstasy pill? She says, yes, but a smaller dose. It made me relax, feel euphoric sexual, or feel relaxed, euphoric sexual. It enhanced touch and sense. It made me feel more loving and flirtatious. What about coming down from ecstasy? It was like your mind was kind of readjusting, coming down from a high. You're just tired. In the Bahamas, did you continue taking drugs? She said, yes, ecstasy. Sean gave it to me. How much did he wire you? She said $10,000. We started using the L word. He told me he was seeing multiple women. I was okay with it. Yeah, for $10,000 for a couple days on the beach out of the country. The prosecution said, why? She said, I liked him. Did you have the sense that you had the option of a monogamous relationship? She said, no. Until when did you continue dating Sean? She said, until his arrest. Any breaks? Well, she dated him until his arrest, child. So she was probably with him with them baby oil bottles in that room. They asked her, were there any breaks? She said two. The second in October 23 for 4 months. When did you get back together? She said February of 2024. And how public were you? She said it was private. Did you post about your relationship with Sean on your social media? Only once. Where did you move? From the East Coast to LA. He gave me $6,000 for a moving trip. In 2021, February to May, how often did you see him? She said every other week. And what did he give you? He was sweet. He would give me money here and there. They asked if it was cash, wires. She said both. How often did you use drugs? Every time I saw Sean. Ecstasy, Molly, coke, K or ketamine. Molly enhanced like ecstasy, sexual. She said horny. Coke it made me feel alert. I didn't like we're closing in. In what context did Sean give you drugs? When we were having sex, what did you? So many things, like how he liked photograph, pornography playing. He liked me in lingerie and with high-end stripper shoes. I was to put baby oil all over my body and his. What type of rooms? In his bedroom. How was it lit? We'd have red lights on. How did you feel? I loved them. May of 2021, what happened? I remember that when we would watch Corn, we would have a lot more fantasy conversation. They said her voice cracked. Do you need a break, Jane? No, we would search things on these websites. He wanted me to fantasize. In May of 2025, was there objection? Comey says, oh, May of 2021. I'm so sorry. Oh, she objected herself. We were watching. Where were you watching the Corn? She says, Mia, I had been awake for 15 hours or 24. What drugs? She said, ecstasy and Molly. He said, I can make it happen. Why did you say okay? I thought I was playing into the fantasy, but when I came out of the bathroom, he was staring into his phone, really serious. He said, it can happen tonight. How did you react? I was like, tonight? Then okay. Then we were in a hotel. I saw the assistant setting up the room. The lights were already red. Do you remember which assistants? I don't. He said there was someone coming. He knows the guy. I was super nervous listening in. Who do you think this guy was? The fantasy guy, she said. What do you think would start happening? What did you think would start happening? She said, sexual things between me and the fantasy guy. He arrives and they're talking. It was a regular hotel room or a suite, they asked. She said, a suite. What did you do? She said, I said hello to everyone. I saw Don. Who was Don? One of the entertainers. Published the photo to the jury, not shown in the gallery, no personal information on it. They say presumably Jules was shown and the bookseller. Comey, which I think is the Punisher. Comey asked, what's next? She says, I was on the couch with my robe on. My legs were crossed. I was nervous. What happened next? Sean said to stand up. I did and started to dance to get my nerve up. What was Don wearing? His underwear. What was Sean doing? touching himself. Was he self-pleasuring? She says yes. Was he talking? What was he saying? Being encouraging and sweet. I was ready to speed things up a bit. What do you mean? Get it done. And she starts sobbing. What did you ask for? She said a condom. What did Sean say? That these guys get tested at the time. Later, did Don leave? Yes, and then Sean and I made love. The next day, I went home. Any boat trip? She said a nice yacht day. How did you feel? I felt exhilarated. It was taboo. I had a good time with my partner. Did you think you'd do it again? No, or maybe a few times, something taboo. How did things change? It opened a Pandora's box. There was so much of it afterwards, too much of it. How often? All the time. I went along. Later, did you tell him you didn't want it? She says yes. In writing or verbally? Many times. What did Sean tell you about your rent when you said you didn't want to have sex with other men? That he'd give me maybe 3 more months. How did you feel? Frustrated, obligated. Obligated to do what? Defense objects, and there's a sidebar. They're back from the sidebar, and Comey asks, between 2023 and the time of his arrest, did he pay your rent and make you feel obligated to have sex with other men? She says yes. What did you two call this night? She said debaucheries or hotel nights. How often did you see him? She said often. Every time you'd see him, did you have hotel nights? Yes, even though we'd spend a day or two together after, it all felt like a hotel night. Who decided when? Sean, on short notice. I always had childcare ready. I was always put together. What do you mean? My hair, my nails, my tan. He wanted me beautiful. Did you go out with friends? Not after a trip in summer of 2022. He was dismissive. In summer of 2021? She said to France. I went to the south of France with my friends. He was angry in the voice notes. Comey asked, who did he want you to look? Or how? It should be how. How did he want you to look? She said straight hair, ponytail when we had sex. He wanted me to pierce. She said where? She said my nipples. Comey said, we'll talk about that. Between 2021 and the break in 2023, how much money did you make and how? She says social media posts, but that went down because my presence went down. I was focused on Sean. He would give me money here and there. How much at one time? She said $20,000. Did you tell him you wanted to make your own money? She says when OnlyFans got big, I told him I wanted to do it like one of my model friends. He gave me this hesitant energy like, no. What is OnlyFans? She says subscribe to models. I do nudity. But no sex acts? She said, right, but he didn't approve. Why did you feel you needed his approval? I felt he was my boyfriend. The prosecution says sealed exhibit. What is this? He says my lease, April 4th, 2023. How much was the rent each month? She said $10,000. Sean said, let's do a love contract. It was a flirty thing. He asked how much allowance did I want going forward. I said 15. He said 10,000. Yes, I wanted a beautiful home for balance. What's this? She said transfer. To pay your rent? Yes. Who got you plane tickets to fly to the hotel nights? His travel agent, Jess, or KK. What were the hotel suites like? Red lights, sheet everywhere for the excessive use of baby oil. How many bottles? Objection, the judge sustains. She says, prosecution asked per hotel night. She said 24 bottles or more. Comey says this night, and the exhibit is not shown. Where was the hotel night? She said in my apartment. What did you wear during this hotel night? She said lingerie, high stripper shoes. What would you and the other man do first? Objection and rephrase. Comey asked, who did you greet? Who would you greet? She said, the entertainer. I was on drugs. Sean told me to touch myself, then the sex. Comey says, forgive me for asking, but oral or intercourse? She says oral. Later, it would be with Sean. Prosecution asked, would you clean up the ejaculate? She said no. My. How long were the hotel nights? She said 20 or 30 hours. He was going to get all he could out of his little money. I'm getting all the bang out of my butt. Okay, that was me interjecting. Sorry. The prosecution said after she heard 20 or 30 hours, she said, we can break here. Okay, we need a break. I need a break. The judge says, jurors, we may start staying later. Do not speak with each other about the case. All rise. Okay, now the jurors are gone. Prosecution says Jane's counsel wants you to remind those in the gallery not to report any personal identifying info from the lawyer's screens. Ignifilo says, may I submit a letter about the SCIF? Okay, and then the judge adjourns. And I think that letter has to do with visiting him later after the court sessions. I think they're still trying to get time in the courtroom or somewhere where they don't have to communicate by text or phones. Sounds like they were still having trouble with his phone time being extended. So Jane is on the stand. What do y'all think of Jane so far? I had some people running through my head, but of course I'm not going to say it because she's supposed to stay anonymous. But I don't know. I got my thoughts. So we had Mia finished her cross exam. We had the text message expert who worked for the government for 17 years in the Southern District doing what he does. So basically to prove that those text messages were authentic and he knows what he's doing. And also whose phones they were. And then also Jane, the press is, like I said earlier, I believe that they are trying to get more transparency from the court because the prosecution wants to make all the exhibits with regard to Jane private and sealed. And the press says we have right to it. Okay. The press, has laws in place where they are given access to public trials. And that includes all of the evidence, the testimony, everything. So Justin looking kind of wonky right here, don't you think? A little bit wonky. But let me see what the Washington Post has to say about anything additional that might have been missed in these tweets. Because while I'm looking at that, I do want to something that was missed in yesterday's live tweets was spoken about here. Wait, hold on.
Ray J was named in the Diddy trial, but there has been some real misinformation being spread about Ray J being named in this Diddy trial, so let's get into it and let's debunk this misinformation. During Cassie Ventura's friend Bryana Bongolan's cross-examination testimony, Diddy's team brought up a dealer by the name of Ray J. Diddy's lawyer asked, do you remember a substance dealer by the name of Ray J? And she responds, I don't know if that's his name. Then Diddy's lawyer asks, do you remember the dealer that you would send to Cassie often by the name of Ray J? And she says, I don't remember that name once again. Diddy's lawyer says, okay, so you have no idea who Ray J is? And she says, I mean, he sounds like that singer, but I don't think it's him. Now, when this first came out, I was not surprised if Ray J was the dealer because we've heard enough rumors about Ray J and Whitney Houston. But Bryana Bongolan said multiple times she doesn't even remember the name Ray J, and she brought up Ray J the singer is the only one that she could think of, and she said, I don't think that that's him. I would not honestly be surprised if Ray J tries to play on his name being mentioned. Because I feel like Ray J does a lot of stuff for clout. Because at the beginning of all of this Diddy stuff, he said Diddy had these tapes with all of these celebrities, and that these celebrities were coming to him and telling him that they were paying off people not to be named and all of this other crap. And then Ray J got into the fight with Diddy's sons because they said that he kept talking mess about their dad. Literally this week on TMZ, Ray J goes on and he's like, I don't think Diddy has done anything. I have not seen him do any of this. We have been friends for a long time. He's not even being charged correctly. He was literally arguing with Nancy Grace. And that's why I say I'm not going to be surprised if Ray J tries to play on this. I think anything that makes him feel relevant, he's going to say it and he's going to do it. So I'd be on the lookout for that. But yeah, this is how Ray J's name came up in the Diddy trial. So it's not necessarily what everybody's been saying it is, but could it be possibly true? Maybe. But based off reading these transcripts and her making it very clear that she doesn't even remember the name Ray J multiple times, and then she says the only one that she's heard of with the name Ray J is the singer and she doesn't think it was him, I'm pretty sure it wasn't Ray J. But I am very curious to know where Diddy's team is getting the name Ray J. But anyways, y'all let me know what you guys think about all this in the
It is very strange to me that the defense would bring Ray J up. What is this benefiting them? Is he going to testify for the defense? She was adamant about the fact that it wasn't him. So maybe they wanted to rule him out as a rug dealer before he took the stand for them. I don't know, but that's kind of weird. What my lawyer saying in the chat. So let me come to y'all comments. Thank you for the Yoda. Yes, thank you, Nia. Trav says, remember that was September 30th. Okay. You're talking about as far as the hotel stay goes? Nia said, y'all, he been staring the jury down and having outbursts prior to today. As far as I know, the jury, well, the content creators and people who are reporting in the main courtroom are saying he does turn to them and makes gestures too. So I think he also was looking at the jury. One of the content creators on the ground said that the judge told them to not look at the jury and make faces also. So I don't know, child. The jury, they need to have blinders on anyway. He also said for them not to pass notes to the jury. So the question came up as to who tried that. Diddy? I mean, Juti said, no outbursts that I know towards the jury, just his standing up frustrated that Cassie's husband was there. Oh, yeah. Nia said, this mofo's lame. Ernie. Talking about this Ernie. Yeah. Sesame Street, Bert and Ernie. It is crazy. Child, I think a couple of us have the same idea of who Jane is. And I wasn't going to bring up this guy because I knew that would put it out there, but you said it and I saw somebody else say it. Juti said, I think it's either YM or the ex of the coin guy. Yet another. I think we are on the same page. She said content creator. Tasha K. I don't think so, Nia. Come on now. Yeah, Black Letter Law. She on the same page. Okay. I was thinking, yep. I'm that girl. What's going on? What's up, fam? Yes, please hit the like button. Thank you, Wayne. Ray all day. I think because Tootsie Roll was not comparable to the hired help he liked to watch. Tootsie Roll. Oh my goodness. Juti said 10K monthly rent. Crazy. Extremely crazy. Baby, if I was rich, ain't no way I'm paying that amount for rent. I'm just saying. I was thinking in my head too, like, what? I wonder what she can actually afford on her own dime, and the difference of that and that 10K, I would be putting up under my mattress, child. Putting in a safe deposit box, not in the interest earning account, because I don't want them with no record of me taking this money so I could get taxed on it. I mean, I'm just saying. Let me scratch that. Scratch that from the record. Scratch that from the record. All right. I'm that girl. I still love shopping at the Goodwills. Yeah, thrift shopping is hella fun. I do it all though. I like how I like to mix it up. Um, yeah, I was thinking that too, but she has 2 kids. I was thinking the same thing. I told y'all I had all these people going through my head, and then afterwards planning on how I'm about to go down a rabbit hole on um on what's the site? Lipstick Alley, child. Because I know they already got the tea. Hey Andrew, it's 2 people I know who can be Jane Doe. I know what you said. I know one is really strong in my head, and I think a couple of us said it. You said, "Oh, I watch her updates every morning." Who are we talking about? I'm lost now. Okay, are you talking about that lady that we're talking about? She has updates. She said, "Oh, she's playing in them people's face." Oh, you're talking about her. Okay, I'm sorry. The lady on TikTok. Yes. Yeah, I love her too. It's something about her. I don't know what it is. She dead serious about it too. I'm that girl, Ray J gay and always been a snake. Never liked him. So Ray J, like she said, coming on TMZ arguing with Nancy Grace, talking about how innocent Diddy is. And then, he was also going back and forth with Suge Knight because him and Suge Knight are having this war. And basically, Suge Knight said Ray J is Diddy's boyfriend. And that it's not surprising that he's taking this stance and that he's obligated to, because when you say boyfriend, all I can think of is the fact that he has people on surveillance tapes and he's he's dangling these things over these people's heads because they don't want to be embarrassed. And Ray J already just came out again talking about that corn tape he got with Kim Kardashian and how they used him. He was coerced. He makes himself seem to be some sort of victim in the situation and that he was victimized by doing that. So imagine not even knowing you on tape and somebody say, look at here. Remember when you was at that party and you thought you was, have secret fun? Well, guess what? We got it all on film, baby. So you got to do everything we say. Otherwise, we're going to put you out there and put you on blast. I mean, that's enough to make a person want to, not me, I'm just saying, I know that when you hear stories about stuff like this type of bullying and harassment, and people want to unalive themselves, So she said it's definitely Ray J. You think that Bana is covering for him? Ray J, he already pressed her if he knew she was testifying because her name was not ever hidden. I'm pretty sure he already, if he was involved in any way, shape, or form, he already approached her about it, paid her something. Nia said, isn't Ray J linked rumor to Whitney Houston? Absolutely he is. I don't know if rumor, but yeah, he's definitely implicated in the public sphere, that is. Ray said, Ray J is also linked to supplying drugs for Whitney. Yes, see? Always having that backpack with him. And he knew a lot about the people complaining about the abuse from Diddy. I do feel like Ray J was all in the mix. And he still is, in my opinion. And you're absolutely right. Juti said, yo, when Nancy Grace is the better person, there's a damn problem. You don't like Nancy Grace and her fiery self? Diddy mention Ray J on Drink Champs? He did. Is that the same Drink Champs he was propositioning Fabulous in? Talk about, I love it when you scrape a scramble or whatever he was saying. Oh, creep. Child, I cannot. Well, I'm going to tell you this. Jane's testimony has definitely proven to be tea. And like I said, I'm going to go down my own rabbit hole because my curiosities are peaking. But I want to say thank you. Yep, had a great time. Had a great time updating y'all today and kikiing with y'all. Wow, Wayne said Ray J on that Ciroc. He might be on that baby oil, child, or them eye drops. But I love the sisters in here. Yeah. So listen, come back tomorrow, y'all. We're gonna do this again. I'm gonna try to dig up some extras for tomorrow. Um, try to do a little more preparation. And then remember, on the weekends, we're gonna be doing the recap and the extras as well. And remember, last Sunday night we did do that. Me and Love Queen, aka Baby, I'm sorry, Beautiful Spirit. We did a live last Sunday night on the week prior, and some extra stuff. Ava Combs, the little Caucasian girl that Diddy supposedly adopted and who was missing, she's featured in a vlog from the twins, the Combs twins, a surprising cameo, child. And honestly, it was real creepy. If you look in any comments that posted that, everybody's saying that she needs to be rescued. It's very creepy if that is her. But yeah, remember, he don't remember the little girl. She was younger at the time. He was like, this is Ava Combs. She's a Combs family member now, and all this stuff, right? And then she was just nowhere to be seen ever again. And now even the twins said, we have Ava. Oh, Ava, you guys have been asking for her like every day. Like, they seemed super annoyed and know though that people are looking for this girl, knowing that also their father was implicated in doing something nefarious to her. And so anyway, there's rumors out there about stuff that happened to that girl. I'm not going to repeat it because I don't know, what, I got to draw the line somewhere. But yeah, we definitely are going to be talking some shits and giggles this weekend. So make sure you subscribe, like this video, and until then, yeah, it is crazy. It is crazy. Oh wait. Oh yeah, well, Wayne, definitely like, share, and I'm gonna be posting more on my Nosy Goddess channel. I've been in my over there for the last couple of weeks because your girl's been busy, which is a good thing, child. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Jesus, for all the different streams of income. But I want to say appreciate you, and come back tomorrow so we could do this again. All right. Peace. Thanks for the bell.